On to the next video. Um, this one is a little scary because we all travel. I know for some of us we like to travel more than others, but I like to travel, and I've never rode this this airlines in particular. I'll be honest with you. I'm more of a JetBlue type of guy, more of a Delta type of guy. But maybe if I had no other choice, I would try this. I would try this out. But anyways, this one is a little scary because for those of us that like to travel, um, this is something you don't want to see. Let's get into it. Alaskan Airlines plane had warnings days before mid-air blowout, say the investigators. Let's listen in.
About this Boeing 737 MAX 9, which you'll recall was involved in a dramatic mid-air blowout. Air accident investigators in the United States said today that restrictions had already been placed on the passenger plane after pilots on 3 previous flights reported warning.
I'm suing right away. I want every single dollar. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm not like you. I'm sorry if I'm not like you, but I want every single dollar. I need every single dollar. Give me every single dollar. Thank you.
Lights. The aircraft had been prevented from making long-haul flights over water. Its panel door blew out mid-flight on Friday over the US state of Oregon and has been found in a house backyard. This video, taken by a passenger on board the flight shortly after takeoff, shows there was a hole by the side of the plane where the panel was blown out. Here.
Do y'all see that? There's a whole hole in the airline. In the airport, the airplane. I can't believe this. Now, all my life, I have traveled. I have never seen anything like this. And I thank God, because this is some scary stuff. I've heard of planes going down. I've heard of planes getting attacked. But this is new. New news. Let's continue.
Is the call that was made by the pilot.
We do need to return back to, we have 177 passengers.
And just 20 minutes later, Flight 1282 made an emergency landing back at Portland International Airport in Oregon. Luckily, nobody was injured. In fact, it's quite amazing anybody was not killed on this flight. Here's the moment Jennifer Homendy from the US National Transportation Safety Board announced they'd found the door plug.
It's really amazing that nobody got hurt on this flight. I gotta be honest with you. I gotta be honest with you. This is nobody passed out. Nobody was looking for oxygen. I'm confused. I'm kind of confused. Could you imagine you going to Barbados? You going to Turks and Caicos? Matter of fact, you just going to Boston, Massachusetts. And you and your airplane decides that it wants to lose a door and scare everybody on the plane. It is making no sense. But let's continue.
I'm excited to announce that we found the door plug. Woo! Thank you, Bob. Bob, I will not give you Bob's last name, but Bob contacted us at witness@ntsb.gov with 2 photos of the door plug and said he found it in his backyard.
Well, the share price of Boeing has sunk 9%, wiping $13 billion off its...
Oh, nah. Can we rewind that? Oh, nah. I got to hear that again.
To announce that we found the door plug. Woo! Thank you, Bob. Bob, I will not give you Bob's last name, but Bob contacted us at witness@ntsb.gov with 2 photos of the door plug and said he found it in his backyard.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the share price
I
of
agree.
Boeing has sunk 9%, wiping $13
They
billion
they
off
deserve
its stock
to
market
sink
value.
lower than that, bro.
Alaska Air, that runs the
That's
MAX 9,
life
cancelled
threatening.
140 flights on Monday. Dr. Todd Curtis is a former Boeing safety engineer and founder of the website airsafe.com.
Let's check Boeing's stock price right now. Let's check Boeing stock price right now. Boeing stock price. My goodness. My goodness. My goodness. We down 20% today, boys. Boys and girls, we down 20% today. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. Let's continue.
I asked him to explain how this could happen with such a new aircraft.
Well, any aircraft, a very complex piece of machinery, and even one that is like the 737 that has been produced in one form or another for over 50 years. So with anything that complex, there's usually some sort of issue, that minor, that has to be resolved with a new airplane. Even a brand new airplane has to go through periodic maintenance checks during its lifetime. Now, some of those can happen fairly quickly. So I'm sure this airplane has had routine maintenance up until the point of this event.
How important do you think it is that they've recovered the door or the section of the airframe that had disappeared?
I think it's absolutely.
They celebrating that they found the door, right? But they not addressing the issue here. Why is that door coming off? You're talking about this thing had maintenance throughout its lifetime. Then we need to know which bolt was the first bolt to come off. Who was the last person that checked that bolt? And then we gonna go from there. Let's continue.
Absolutely essential that they recover that door to get a full picture of what went on. While they have the rest of the aircraft, the problem that this aircraft had was centered on that door. And by having that to analyze, they can see if there was some sort of manufacturing defect, if some maintenance had been overlooked, or any other problem that was not seen before this flight.
Somebody had to
It's now
overlook
emerged that there were decompression lights that had been flashing 3 times previous in the cockpit. In fact, once on the day before on a flight that this aircraft had taken. Did they miss the warning signs?
No way. No way. No way. So they had the warning signs, but they refused to do something about it just to put the plane down. Use another plane at least. That works. Crazy.
They didn't miss the warning signs. As the NTSB said in their press conference recently, there were 3 of these events, 1 in December and 2 on the 2 days prior to the event. And at the time of the conference yesterday, the press conference, they saw no direct link between the pressurization problem and the door problem. But one of the fortunate things about the problem was that even if it was unconnected, because they had that issue, this aircraft was not allowed to do what's called ETOP service, flying between the west coast of the U.S. and Hawaii.
American Airlines cancels 140 flights today. Yikes. Yikes. Talk about down bad. Talk about it's time to recruit. Talk about how we're going to fix this quickly because somebody's going to be on the table. Somebody's going to be on this on the table, the chopping block.
Had this event occurred out over the middle of the ocean, it would have been several hours, perhaps, rather than a few minutes before the aircraft could have gotten back on the ground.
Can you just explain what it would have been like in the cockpit from what we've heard?
My man looked like a lizard, but I just had to say that one. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do it. I don't want to do it, but he's kind of giving me lizard vibes.
Good, because it blows out at 6,000 feet. What happens then, and what would the pressure change be like inside the cabin?
Well, at 15 or 16,000 feet where this event occurred, the atmospheric pressure is roughly half of that on the surface of the Earth. So when you have something that large, like a door-sized gap in the aircraft, you would have a rapid decompression that would affect all parts of the
He's
aircraft.
very
In
knowledgeable.
fact, according to the NTSB,
Very knowledgeable.
there was damage from several rows behind this door all the way up to the cockpit area. So there was a rather chaotic scene, loose objects, papers, and whatnot flying out of the aircraft. In fact, there was a critical checklist that was in the cockpit that was blown out of the cockpit somewhere in the back of the plane. So even if there was not damage, it was affecting how the crew could fly this aircraft.
And yet we don't know what the chatter was between the pilot and the co-pilot, because apparently the recording, the voice recorder, has been overwritten. Is that typical?
That's correct. That's very atypical. The voice recorder in the U.S. is required to have 2 hours worth of data. And apparently after this event was over, rather than cutting the power off to the voice recorder, the power was left on. And over the next 2 hours, it silently recorded whatever was in the cockpit, which was nothing. And so when the NTSB looked at it, there was no data. Now, this has happened during several serious events, including runway incursions and a near crash in San Francisco a few years ago, where an aircraft almost landed on top of four other aircraft waiting on the taxiway. After that event, the same situation occurred. The power wasn't taken off the cockpit voice recorder, and there was no data.
So what finally do you think is going on at Boeing? This is an aircraft that was taken out of service for 20 months because of 2 previous fatal incidents outside the United States. It comes back into service, and now this. What happens, to the future of the aircraft, given, I guess, the wide concerns that passengers will now have about flying on it?
Well, as far as the future of the aircraft is concerned,
let me just say this right now: fly JetBlue, fly JetBlue, fly Delta. Don't take your life and risk it just like that. Flying Alaska Airlines ever again. I'm sorry, but let's continue.
It's pretty much assured. There is a set of orders for this aircraft stretching out several years, and they can literally create and manufacture dozens of aircraft a month of the 737 MAX series and have customers around the world. Now, as far as customer concerns about this, that's a legitimate concern. This is an aircraft model that had 2 very serious fatal crashes within 18 months of its entering service. Compare that to an earlier brand new aircraft design.
We're done with this. We're done with that. Never flying Alaska Airlines in my life. I'm thankful that I've never flown it. I'm not trying to fly Boeing. I'm not trying to fly Alaska Airlines. I'm straight.